Hey, this is Carrie's Canary Quilts, and today I'm going to show you what I'm doing with my mini charm pack fabric subscription that I have. If you've been with me and you've watched my box openings, each month you see me open a mini charm pack, and you get 4 of these little things. I think there's 42 fabrics in each, but they're 2.5-inch squares. I love them. I love to see the fabric lines, and I really wanted to do something with these, and it's not a very expensive club to be in. So after about 5-6 months, I decided that I'm going to do a tumbling block quilt. And each month when I get my mini charms, I'm going to cut them up and make them into a tumbling block and just hold on to these until I start to accumulate enough blocks that I can start putting a quilt together. So I need to decide how big I want my quilt, and then I can maybe start putting rows together, but it's going to be a very scrappy quilt, which is what I wanted. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how I cut my pieces and how I distribute my fabrics to their light, medium, and dark values so that you can get this tumbling block look even though you're using so many different fabric lines. So that's what I'm doing today, and it's a lot of fun. I am so excited to see what this quilt's going to look like in the end, although it's going to take a while because these aren't very big blocks. Like I said, I need to decide how big I want this so that I can decide when I need to start putting it together. And I'm going to show you how I plan on putting this together in the end, even though I'm not doing that yet. But I will certainly keep you updated each month. I'll show you my previous month blocks so you can see what they look like, and you'll get to see the fabrics. If you watch my box openings, you'll get to see the new fabrics I get each month. So anyway, hit the subscribe button, notification bell. You can watch me put this together when I finally do, see the blocks that come, or the fabrics that come in each month that I'm going to put into my quilt, and all the other fun stuff we got going along here. I'm going to be doing this, showing you how I did that. I've got the Quilt Along, the Witch's Night Out by It's So Emma Quilt Along going on, so we got lots of fun stuff. Anyway, let's get started. Whoops. Let's get started on our tumbling blocks. Alright, I want to show you what I'm doing with my mini charm packs. I've been gathering these or keeping them for about 6 months. That's how long I've been in. I think it's about 6 months that I've been in the mini charm pack club at Fat Quarter Shop, and I just think they're cute. I like seeing the fabric lines, and I wanted to do something with them, but at the time I wasn't sure. And then I saw a method for doing a tumbling block quilt where you don't have Y seams. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to gather these, I want to cut them each month, and then at the end, when it gets big enough, however big I want that quilt to be, I will have a tumbling block quilt, because my mom did one a long time ago, and I remember when I first saw it, I'm like, someday I'm going to be doing one of those quilts. So let me show you what I'm doing. I've got my 60-degree ruler. These are 2.5-inch squares. And they're already nicely stacked, so I just take a small stack of them. Make sure they stay square. And I'm lining up 2.5 inches. So, let me find a pointer. Let's do it over here real quick, because I think you can see it better before I cut it. Here's my 2.5-inch line right here on my 60-degree. That's what I want to be right here. I think the 2 means finished size, 2.5 unfinished. Yes, that's what it says, finished unit. So I'm taking my 2.5 here, my 2.5 line, putting it on the bottom of one of my mini charms, and then the seam allowance, you can see the dotted seam allowance here, that is going right in the corner. So you can see where I'm going to be cutting, but you want that seam allowance to hit in the corner, because you could scooch it over this way and you don't want to do that. you want to have the whole mini charm pack fall within that seam allowance. All right, let me put it back. And let's put it back on 2.5. It falls within my seam allowance down there. And then I'm just going to cut it. Oh, and the flat part falls up here, so. There you go. Get my square, or my triangles that I need. This one may be interesting to work with because there's a lot of dark fabrics. So put it on the 2.5, make sure my corners down there fall within that seam allowance, and the flat part up here is at the top. Oh, I'm cutting off the pumpkin. Oh well. He's in the corner anyway. All right, pretty simple what you have to do. So I'm just going to keep on cutting all of these, and then I'll show you how I organize them. Oops, I might have gotten too many in that one. Okay, and I'm going to show you how I organize them so we get the tumbling block pattern. But that's what your pieces will look like if you're using mini charm packs. If you're not using mini charm packs, you just need a 2.5-inch strip. That's all you need. And if you use a strip, you just cut one, cut the other. You just keep turning it like that. All right, I'm going to get all of these cut, and then I'll show you how I organize my colors. Well, I started off on one that's really hard. So let's do this. Let's combine these. So let me get these sorted out between darks, lights, and mediums. That's a medium. This could read as a dark. Okay, there's some more lights right there that we can incorporate. So let's see what we end up now with. Let's do light, light. Let's do a peach. And what do we have for dark over here? Dark, dark. That looks pretty good. That looks like a tumbling block. So that's kind of how I'm doing it. Usually I can get what I need, but I think these holiday ones are a little harder. It's a little harder to get the darks, mediums, and lights because they're really kind of printed a little bit differently. So let me figure these out real quick, and then we'll move on to the Christmas ones. Okay, I don't think I can do much with these, so what I'm doing is I'm literally making piles in the shape of my tumbling block, because then when I go over to my machine, I'll know which pieces to sew together. So I'm just going to set these aside. Those are pieces I'm going to sew together. Let's start with this one and see how I do. All right, let's get started with these. Let's see if we have any fabrics that are similar. Let's start with the really white ones. And I like green, so let's do a green. And again, I'm matching up these base, the 2.5 inch bottoms together like that. And then let's do a couple of reds. That's going to be a beautiful tumbling block. Yeah, that's going to be pretty. All right, let's go over here, see what we got. What do we have? Okay, fa la 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 la. And a polka dot. And let's do another green, or maybe we should do a gray. Let's do a gray. Let's do this and that, and more red. Let's put fa la las together. Let's see, did we have a green fa la la? So I do have a green fa la la, but I think it's a little too, maybe not. Maybe if I take these grays off, and I can use the fa la 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 la, and another dark green. There we go. There, that'll work. All right, let's take these plaids. All right, so I'm going to add these to the pile, and these are going to be my miscellaneous that I have to work with those. But for the most part right now I've got these. Let's work with this. Ooh, there's a lot of light in that one. So I think we're working with white, green, and red in this one. So if something reads red or green, I'll put it in there. So let's start. Let's see where we get. All right, I'm back. I reevaluated this fabric, and a lot of it had 2 of the same fabric, which a lot of these don't have that. So I had 5 reds, and I had 5 greens, and then I found 5 whites, and then this is what's left over that seems a little too busy or didn't have a matching fabric with it. So this is what I'm working with. So I'm going to do red, I'm going to do white, green, and red. And we'll just have matching fabrics throughout the whole thing. Because I think the colors are so different that they'll read as a tumbling block. Yep. All right, so this one's going to be a little easier. Okay, there we go. This is what's left over. I don't know that I have enough to find light, medium, and dark. So there's the leftovers from the other 2, and I'm going to add them to my pile over here of all my leftovers. And maybe in the end I can start sorting through this and be able to build tumbling blocks that are really super scrappy. So set those aside. I'm also keeping all my wrappers, so I don't know why. Maybe in the end I'll make a label for the quilt that shows all the different fabric lines. We'll see. Okay, let's get started sewing. It's up to you maybe how you want to organize how you're sewing. Remember, we're building these in halves. All right, it's time to sew them together. And I went ahead and did one already so I could remember how to do it. But it's not hard. I just needed to remember how to do it. So I'm going to show you how to do one, and then I'm going to show you how I mass produce them, if you want to do it that way. But anyway, we're going to put them together in halves, as you can see right here. So these were sitting there like that. Now they're like this. We are not putting the halves together. That's at the end of the quilt. That's at the end when we put the quilt together. So what you want to do is you want to take this light and this medium, and that's why I laid them out so you know which side to put them on. Line up the edges, and we are sewing this edge. I've been ironing away from the center piece. And then it helps you bring it back here. And now we're going to put the two long edges together like that. And sew along that edge. Nice thing about doing it like this is there's no tails to trim. That's what the ruler does for you. So you don't have to trim any tails. There's that half. Put it right here. We'll do the other half now. So take these two, put the two sides together that we're going to sew. Make sure you know which sides that are because you could sew any of them. This is the side we want right here. Iron away from the center. Bring it back. Goes like this. And now we want to put the two bases together like that. There's my other half. So that's how you do one. You just got to keep track of which side you need to sew. All right, so when I was doing a bunch of them at a time, and basically I would grab a charm pack, and for the most part I could like this. I could grab a charm pack, put it together with the colors, and then sew it. I have a lot more laying here than I normally do, than I normally did when I did it the first time. But anyway, what I was doing is I was doing these two piles first, and I would chain piece them so that I would keep them in order. So I'm going to get all these sewn, I'm going to chain piece them so they're in order, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Alright, got my pieces chain piece, and I put my clip on the first one so I know which side's my first side, which side's my top one of my piles. So as I do them, I'm just going to lay them on top of each other so I don't lose that order. Just like that. So there's my order over here. So I'm going to flip it. So I start at the bottom. And since we're ironing towards the middle, I know that I'm going, or ironing away from the middle, I know that I'm ironing away from the medium color. And then I'm just going to leave that there in the pile. And that will be my bottom piece like it was when I picked them up. Alright, there's all my pieces ironed, and I kept them in the same order as I picked them up, as I ironed them. So when I lay them back over here, ouch, hot, 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 hot. I should have let them cool off. Alright, now I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I will mark it still and keep it in order so that when I lay it down here it's in order, and then I'll have to do these in order so I can lay them down and they'll be in order that way, the way I wanted them. So I hope you understand that. It's just keeping track of making sure you're just maintaining the order of your pieces. So remember we're sewing along the base this time. I'm going to put my clip. That's my first piece. All right, there they are ironed. So let's just stack them back in order. And we can place them right there, and then if we do the exact same thing with these, they will match these halves. So that's how I'm putting them together. Same way over here, it's just opposite. These two edges go together, iron towards the outside. These two bases go together, iron towards the outside. All right, I'll show you what they look like when they're done. That's a lot to do. I don't usually do that many in one, but that was 2 mini charm packs put together. So I'm just going to set these aside like that. And then I'm going to do these one at a time here. So these will be pretty easy. Same thing. Put these edges together, iron towards the outside. Put these bases together, iron towards the outside. And just keep track. If you're mass producing, just keep track of where you're at. Make sure that all your bases are together here on these 2 pieces, because I found that I had put them down incorrectly. And they are. All the bases are correct. So I'm going to finish these up. I'll show you what they look like, and then I'll show you kind of how in the end it's going to get put together. All right, finished all my pairs here. So I just kind of want to give you a little layout, show you a little layout of how this is going to go together in the future. You can put them wherever you want. I'll probably just do scrappy quilt. Just start grabbing these and putting them together. But you need to put your halves together even though they're going to be in different rows. So I think I'm getting about 5 per mini charm pack. 5 tumbling blocks. All right. All my tumbling blocks are put together the way they go. But if you were putting this quilt together, you need to put it together by rows. So you would pick this one up and this one up and put it together like this. Sew it, flip it, and you would end up with a straight line here and here. But what you would need to do is you would need to get it laid out and then number your rows. So you know you've got row number 1, row number 2, and then you put it together however you put it together. If you pick up the top one and then the next one so you know which order they go together, then you'll get your row done. Then you'll go to row number 2, same thing. Order it however you want to put it together so that when you get these 2 rows sewn, they will go back together exactly like this. That's how the one block wonder was. It was 3 60-degree triangles put together, just like this, and then we put it together in rows. And it was a little challenging, but as long as you kept your rows numbered, you knew where you were at, especially if you're doing a big quilt and you need to come back to it. All right, my battery died and I didn't know it, and I put everything away. So I reset it up. That's why it looks different. But what I wanted to say was, when I was doing my one block wonder, I got like a big flannel backed vinyl tablecloth, and then I was able to lay my quilt out on that, label my rows, and then if I had to put it away, which I did quite often, you roll your tablecloth up, and because it's flannel backed, you don't lose your positioning. And then all my rows were numbered. I pinned a number to each row. But I will show you how that goes together when I'm done, but I don't think that's going to be for a while. I'm going to accumulate these blocks and then start putting it together. The other thing I want to show you that I'm doing is how I am storing these blocks. I saved these bags for my fabric subscriptions. And, I wanted to show you. I did say that I had like a dark purple and a light mini charm pack. This is what it was. So these blocks right here are 2 mini charms put together, and this one was almost all dark and this one was almost all light. So I have a lot of those. Very pretty. But I'm just kind of carefully putting these in here. I'm going to pick them up just like this and keep them together. And then I'm going to put them in my bag so that when I pull them out, each block will be together and I will be able to lay them out. So that's what I'm doing. Just kind of putting them in here for storage. They'll be with their respective halves, and I'll be ready to go at the end of the year, next year, whenever I'm ready to start putting these rows together. So there you go. That's what I'm doing with my mini charms. I hope you like it. I hope you learned something. You got to see my One Block Wonder. If you're not familiar with the One Block Wonder, I'll link the book down below if you want to take a look at the book. But that was a lot of fun to do. My mom actually, I did one. I can't find the picture of it, but then my mom and I did the one that I showed you in the picture of the One Block Wonder quilt. So this is really fun. I'm really excited to get this done, and I appreciate all you guys watching. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell if you're new here, and you can see all the other content. You can see this when it's done. You can see my blocks go together each month. So it's going to be a blast putting this together, and I'm really excited to share it with you. But anyway, I will see you in the next video. Bye.